Welcome to Community Cocktails with Kimberly, hosted by Kimberly Woodard, a realtor who's been selling homes in North Texas with more than 21 years of experience. Join her every first and third Wednesday of the month as she meets with top community leaders, local businesses, and real estate industry experts to help you get to know the area you want to call home. Don't just love your home, love your community. And now your host, Kimberly Woodard.
Welcome, viewers, to this episode of Community Cocktails with Kimberly. This is such a treat. I mean, hello, my podcast is called Community Cocktails. And guess what? We're going to be talking with some entrepreneurs that developed this great device. Welcome, Tyler and Michelle, to my podcast.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, you guys, let's start talking about first y'all. You developed this wonderful Cold Cork device, but let's talk about a little bit about y'all. So, and how it evolved into developing this product.
Yeah, of course. So I'll start. I'm from Houston, and actually my background is in healthcare.
Oh.
So at the very beginning of COVID back in 2020, it was actually right when they were going to do the shutdown.
Yes.
So they told everyone, you have 2 weeks to be at home. We went to the grocery store, stocked up on groceries, and also, of course, wine, and came home from the grocery store with just a case of warm wine. And so I wanted to have a glass, didn't want to put ice in my wine, didn't want to wait hours in the fridge or the freezer. And that's how that idea actually for Cold Cork came about. We started doing some research. Nothing like this existed on the market. Fast forward 7 years, I've now left my full-time job and am working full-time for Cold Cork.
That is remarkable. We see so many people that during COVID, come up, changed careers, changed everything about them. And you guys are a story like that. So let's, go back, back in 2020, you guys are, let's talk about the process of developing this. I mean, this is such a cool device. I saw it in person. I was in Fredericksburg when I met them at this adorable little pop-up or little cooking store, and they were a little pop-up in there. And I was shocked when I used this device. But let's talk about, the process of, you guys developing this, because I mean, the technology and everything in this device is remarkable.
Yes, it's kind of coincidental. So I think it was January of 2020. I've always been a tinkerer, and I'm a mechanical engineer by background.
Okay.
And so in January, I had actually purchased a 3D printer, and I was going to start working on some different inventions and ideas that I had.
Okay.
And so 2 months later, Michelle comes up with this idea when she comes home from the store, and I get out my notebook and start sketching and came up with a couple of different options of how we thought we could instantaneously chill. And so at first we were trying to think about stuff you could put in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, you don't want to have to pour out that first 1 or 2 glasses just to get something in the bottle. And so with the 3D printer, we made hundreds of prototypes just in our townhome.
Wow.
And like you mentioned, everybody picked up a hobby during COVID or lost 50 pounds and became a bodybuilder. So everyone
did something.
Everyone did something.
Y'all developed a company.
Yeah,
Drink a lot of wine too.
That's not a bad thing, is it?
While doing it.
So along the course, you start developing your prototypes and everything with it. Let's talk to phase 2. You got your prototype. You were able to click on it. This is what was the next step that you guys went through? Because we have a lot of people that are probably thinking, oh, I want to develop something, and they're learning how did the whole process go?
Yeah. So after that was, we started developing a prototype, a lot of ideas that took months. And then we actually had to start looking for funding. So that was another huge part of our company, was how are we going to fund this idea? And actually Tyler is a really good he's great at fundraising. So
Awesome.
that went really well.
And that was kind of one of the funnier stories that we've gotten out of all of this.
Uh-huh.
We're kind of networking and just meeting some people,
Right.
and a lot of what I did was kind of upfront. I did a lot of the prototyping and engineering,
Okay.
and then some of the fundraising efforts. And like Michelle mentioned, she's doing it full time now, so she's at the helm, and I'm here to support and help out in whatever way I can. But one of the things was fundraising, and it was kind of funny because early on I reached out to some people on LinkedIn,
Uh-huh.
just looking up people that are involved with wine
Right.
and seeing who I could kind of cold message on LinkedIn. And so this one guy gets back to me, and he actually owns a vineyard in Spain. And
Oh,
so he was like, send us a product. We want to try it out. And he, would consider investing. So we sent it to him, and within like a week, we had really good feedback. And this was with a prototype that, we had still kind of done some revisions after.
right.
But he just loved the concept and saw the need for it in the market. And so the next thing we know, he sends an email and he's like, hey, I'm in Houston. Are you able to get dinner? And so we end up going with him, and his vineyard it's really remarkable, but his cheapest bottle is probably $100. So
Oh,
it
wow.
was well out of anything that we've ever experienced. But next thing we know, we're going out to dinner with him, and he's taking us to one of the nicest steakhouses here, arguably nicest steakhouses in Houston.
Nice.
So that was super validating and just kind of made it real because there was somebody that really believed in it. And while he actually ended up not investing, it was very early on, and we just weren't quite able to agree on what it was worth, and
Right.
for at what point we were in the process. It just really clicked. We were like, oh my gosh, like this is something real that people can and are getting behind.
That's awesome. No, well, I mean, I think we should show. I mean, I have mine here in my box, but the item is, let's talk about it. And I'm gonna pull mine out. All pretty. So let's talk about the device and how it really works, and all the because people are looking at it going, okay, it looks like an opener.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say fun fact because I think Tyler was involved definitely with like the engineering aspect and
Yeah.
how the components go together and things like that. And I was more like aesthetics, colors,
Right.
like textures, and the shape of it is actually a copy of our wedding champagne flutes. So we have been going back and forth on what is it going to look like. We want it to be aesthetic, but it has to be a certain size and in like a certain mass for it to actually work. And so I pulled out one of our wedding champagne flutes and I traced it on a piece of paper, and I was like, okay, make it fit in this.
Oh, I
And so we
love
were able to
that.
do that.
Well, no, that's so special. And I loved hearing that was your inspiration. So,
Yeah,
because every time you remember your wedding.
I know. Yeah, so that's a fun fact.
Yeah, but in terms of how it operates, so you essentially, you keep it in your freezer at all times, so it just lives in your freezer. And then whenever you need it, if you come home from the store with a room temperature bottle, or someone surprises you with a bottle during a party, or they come over, you pull it out of the freezer, you attach the cork, so the cork actually comes off. So you'll attach the cork to the stem, plug it in your bottle, and then you're off to the races. So it'll chill a single glass by 20 degrees in 20 seconds. Sometimes it's actually a little bit colder than that, depending on how quickly you pour. And if you're pouring spirits, it can actually chill a glass of spirits by about 30 degrees.
Oh, wow. So no more waiting for that bottle to chill. You can drink that lukewarm wine now.
Exactly.
And it's actually, fun fact, it's actually faster than ice. So it's faster than ice, and it doesn't dilute your wine. So it's kind of like a win-win. And then if you're a red wine drinker, how we tell people to use it with red wine is you can actually pour the entire bottle of red through the cold cork and into a decanter, and it'll lower the whole entire bottle by about 10 degrees. So if you have a bottle, like if you're like most Americans, you don't have a wine cellar,
Right.
wine for reds, you can just keep your reds out at room temp whenever you want to enjoy it. Pour the whole entire bottle through into a decanter, and you have wine that's essentially at cellar temp.
Oh, that's nice to know. So how many, so if I were to use it for a bottle, and then do I need to put it back in the freezer, like after that bottle, for it to freeze up before and I do it for another, or like how many, just a question.
Yeah.
Not that I'm
No,
drinking more than
question a lot. We do
but
get
you never know. I
that
might be having a party that everyone has lukewarm water.
No, exactly. Yeah, so the first deep freeze, so initially when you get your cold cork, it's going to be completely thawed. So the first deep freeze is going to be 24 hours.
Okay.
And then after that, after each use, we recommend you freeze it for 4 hours for it to just completely solidify and go back to chilling your like 22 to 23 degrees.
Okay.
So best case scenario, after each pour, pump it. That's another big thing is you want to make sure the coil is clear so the wine doesn't freeze in the device.
Okay.
Put it back in the freezer and you're ready to go for your next glass. Or you can buy more than one cold cork and have them.
Yes, of course. Well, let's also talk about I love it's like handy. It's not but let's talk about the inside components because I'm very interested. Why, how does it freeze up? What is the secret of this?
There's a coil in there, and it is stainless steel. It's actually a high grade of stainless steel that is used with food contact and cooking devices and supplies. So it's a stainless steel coil. And so the wine or spirits go in there and kind of take the long road, and they go through a gel that's frozen and essentially turns into an ice cube. So it's like an ice luge that doesn't dilute your beverage. And out the other end, you get cold wine and spirits.
And with the stainless steel, it won't alter the taste of your wine or anything like that, because we get asked that a lot as well.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. It's kind of crazy how much time people put into making wine, and they let it age for years. And then, sometimes, as of right now, one of the best solutions is before a cold cork, is you just come along and drop some ice cubes in it. So, you have someone that ages wine for years, and then within 10 seconds, you come in and just water it down.
Right.
And that's
you
one
want
thing.
To water down that stuff?
I know.
You want it good. Well, that's what I mean. And like I said, I tried this and it's remarkable. So after I was telling one of my wine guys about it, and I was like, I keep forgetting to bring it up to show him. It is on my list this week when I see him. But I was telling him how cool this was, and he was like, "No way!" And I said, "Yes." I go, I was like, "You need a few of these for the bar because sometimes you may be getting a bottle from the cellar and it's not cold."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was actually one of our first use cases. Was at an Italian restaurant here in Houston. And it was a restaurant that we frequented so much so that we were actually getting takeout during quarantine.
Yeah.
But we would go in there whenever we had our first prototype, and we were like, "Hey, Claudia, can you try this out?" And we came back a couple weeks later, and she was like, "This kind of saved my ass a couple times." I think she probably used it 5 times or so.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just whenever they were cycling wine and getting it and moving it into their refrigerators, they bought them that kind of that emergency use case.
Right.
And so it kind of, whether it's commercial or around the house, that's really where we see the utility of the product.
Wow. Well, I mean, I love the device. So let's talk about, homeowners. My guests are all, they're loving this device. I know they are. They're, wanting to go out to the store and get it now. So, if someone wanted to go buy it today, where would they find it?
Yeah, of course. So they can find it on our website, thecoldcork.com. We're in about also a few stores, where we met you in Fredericksburg. One of the bigger ones is called Goody Goody. It's a small liquor chain. So mainly based out of Dallas if they're in the Texas area. But I would say the best bet is our website, thecoldcork.com, and you can find it on there. We have an Instagram too, also the Cold Cork, if you want to learn more about it.
Well, perfect. So, then let's also, we talked earlier about, being an entrepreneur. starting, a business during COVID, which we've seen, again, we talked about that earlier. So many people, they're starting business, starting hobbies, or changing careers. What advice, so, would you tell someone if they're, now starting, wanting to be an entrepreneur that you've learned, or maybe some things that you're like, oh, just your advice?
Yeah. My biggest advice that I have found is, if you can, find a partner or a co-founder. That's been huge for us. Just having someone to not only like split the work, because it is a lot.
Right.
24/7, entrepreneurship doesn't stop. You don't really take days off. But also the perspective that you get. You have a different opinion. You both have your strengths and your weaknesses. That's been huge for us. That would be my biggest advice.
Yeah. And I think mine's probably that you really just need to be nice to people. And like, that seems like very cliche, but it's been a long process, especially, when we were developing this, and finding the right people to work with early on. And whether it's our final assembly that we do here in Houston with UPG, they do injection molding, but they, ended up not doing our injection molding, but we're very, we're interested in doing the assembly. And there were some delays and setbacks. And so they were just tremendous in like working with us. And I think just the kind of comes full circle. So if you're really nice to the people that you cross paths with, and I'm not saying you need to go to all these networking events, but I think like whenever you do meet people, and you start to work with them, they give you proposals, just treating them well goes a long way, because you need a lot of support throughout the process. And if you don't have people that have your back, it's very easy to get led astray, or like end up in a pickle if you're financially constrained. So just finding good partners early on, and whether it's your wife or your vendors, like it's just very important to not lose sight of like who you are as a person, and just, it kind of makes everything go a lot smoother.
So as a married couple and developing this entrepreneurship business, I commend you as a couple to be able to work together. I know I would probably kill my husband. Whoops. I said, y'all met him too. He's a hot mess. They met him.
We met him. Yeah, we met him.
Yeah, we did meet your husband.
He told me.
He seemed like a very
He was like,
we just, but I mean, what I would say for a couple, or, what have you seen as, maybe your biggest struggle? Because, maybe people that are working together, they can go to separate houses, but you guys, may have a disagreement about the business,
Yeah. I think for me, it's been sometimes like a little too much honesty. Like, I think if I was with a coworker, maybe I would, I don't know, keep some comments to myself, but I feel like because it's my husband, I'm very blunt. And the work also kind of never stops, because you're together all the time. So you're laying in bed talking about work, waking up talking about work, which has been good, but it's also sometimes you need those boundaries.
Yeah, and I remember early on, I was and obviously still am very excited about the product, but I was just like so excited about it that I would work on it nonstop. And I'm still working in my 9 to 5, and plan on continuing to do that. Like, I love what I do, but anytime outside of that work, I was working on this. And if we would go to get a drink or out to dinner for our anniversary, like, it's so hard to not be like, hey, like, I just thought of this. Like, we should.
Yeah, we have this idea.
So we definitely had a hard conversation at one point where she was like we weren't sure if we were aligned, because I was so into it early on. And kind of like we said, like, I was very upfront, like with designing, like it was very engineering heavy, and it's since transitioned over a lot of what Michelle's awesome at. And so early on, whenever she's watching me do 3D prints, there's only so much
that I can do.
That she can do. Yeah. And now, she's going with the marketing, and that's really what it's all about. But it was definitely a couple of conversations.
Yeah, a few.
So have to ask, do you have anything up your sleeves for something else coming up development wise?
Yeah, so a couple of things with the Cold Cork. We have some exciting things come up. We've had a lot of requests for personalizations from some companies that have actually purchased the Cold Cork as like corporate gifts, and also wineries. So we just found a local partner here in Houston that's going to be able to do custom logos and engraving. So we're hoping to offer that to our customers as well online. But that's like our next thing, and some color customizations as well. So right now we just have the black, but we'll see what comes soon.
Yes, maybe in time for holiday gift giving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, this has been such a pleasure. I've loved getting to know you both. And again, this product, you guys, I'm going to have the website on the bottom of my podcast. So you guys have to go order one. Click on now, order it. I swear by this device. So, and especially, I know we're getting to summertime, a lot of us, have friends over and, the wine's not cold, but it will be.
Day season.
Well, thank you so much. And cheers to success for 2023 and a continuous journey.
Cheers to you as well. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you, Kimberly. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple and Spotify, as well as Kimberly's YouTube channel. If you'd like to contact Kimberly directly, you can email her at kimberlywoodard@ebby.com or call 214-632-2092. We hope you enjoyed our guest this week. And remember, don't just love your home, love your community.